hunting is an old Russian sport. Citizens of Moscow spend every minute of their free time strengthening the city's defenses. Competence. Every woman, like every man, is a soldier, at the workbench or in the field. Women take the places of their husbands, and the flow of ammunition to the front is maintained. Katya Abramova fights in the battle for Moscow, too. She fills her daily production quota by 210%. And here is the result. Shells, shells, and more shells to smash the armies of the swastika. Skis to speed the terrible vengeance that overtook the would-be conquerors of Moscow. Skis to bear thousands of Red Army men with Tommy guns along the flanks of enemy regiments floundering in the snow. Meanwhile, other factories work guns carried by the ski troops. These are the first motion pictures ever released showing the inside of munitions plants in Moscow. More guns, more tanks, cries the Red Army. And the factories answer with more guns, more tanks. These workers don't stop even for air raid alarms. Every minute counts. Tanks roll out direct from the assembly line to the battle line. Here is the first armored train built in a Moscow roundhouse during the siege, complete with new white paint for winter camouflage. Comrade Popov, Secretary of the Defense Committee, congratulates the builders of the train on the record-breaking speed of their job. In the front lines, a detachment of fighters takes time out to rest, to eat, and to hear the news from home. A soldier reads a speech delivered by Stalin in Red Square. The whole world is a force capable of destroying the German bandit armies. The enslaved peoples of Europe look on you as their liberators. A great mission has fallen to your lot. Be worthy of it. The war you are waging is a just one, a war of liberation. Death to the German armies of occupation. These men listen carefully, silently. They know how to give terrible meaning to Stalin's words. This is Major General Belov, commander of the 1st Soviet Cavalry Guard, chosen for their deeds of heroism in a dozen major battles. The Guard successfully protected some 200 outposts on the Moscow front. Week after week, the enemy hammered at Moscow's defenses, but the lines held fast. Finally, the counteroffensive begins. Coordinating his cavalry with big guns and infantry, General Belov plans an important attack. Under cover of an artillery barrage, the cavalry guards charge toward Point B. After the men on horseback come the men on foot for the grim job of mopping up. Another victory for the Soviet Guard. Not ready, says the sign, but whoever takes the land and the lives of free men must be ready for death. Countless deeds of heroism were performed by the Red Army men and civilian volunteers who drove the enemy back from Moscow. A grateful nation loses no time in honoring its most valiant protectors. Colonel Yermakov and Commissar Ivanov present medals to men who have distinguished themselves in battle. Here is a fighter who smashed 2 machine gun nests single-handed. Lieutenant Porofonov receives the Order of the Red Banner for destroying 10 enemy tanks. These men don't think of themselves as being particularly brave. Ask them and they'll tell you the real heroes of the battle for Moscow are the people of Moscow. The Nazis complain that they can't fight in Russia's winter weather. They can't get their planes off the ground. Their motorized equipment freezes up. But on Soviet aerodromes, there is a ceaseless hum of motors and an endless coming and going of reconnaissance, fighter, and bomber units. Pilot Nazarov goes aloft every day, whatever the wind or the weather. Every day, Nazarov and his comrades take a heavy toll of the Nazi panzer wagons hammering in vain at the gates of Moscow. 2/3 of the German tank losses in Russia fog, snow, and treacherous winds are no obstacles to flyers defending their homeland. Thin line in the snow down there is the track made by a file of Nazi tanks.
Let 'em have it.
On every sector of the Moscow front, the battle goes on, relentlessly. Major General Rokossovsky is giving orders. We've got to drive the Nazis out of the village of Z. The village of Z is taken. The would-be conquerors of Moscow have retreated in disorder. Nazi prisoners. This is how supermen look in zero weather. Russia's climate will always be unhealthy for invaders, winter or summer. These stumbling figures recall the road to defeat and ruin traveled by Napoleon and his armies. This is what Moscow did to the Nazi goose step. Now these prisoners are happy to trade Hitler's dreams of world conquest for a plate of hot cabbage soup and a few hours' sleep in a warm room. The rest of their regiment were not lucky enough to be taken prisoners. Hitler will see Moscow when he can see his ears. Moscow citizens know, better than anyone else, that the job is not finished. Moscow may be safe, but the rest of the world is still in danger. Moscow remains alert until the world is free of the Nazi menace. We will never give up Moscow.